I'd say that people today are probably more concerned with what they have than who they have around them. We kind of live our lives so fast now. Everything is kind of sound bites and news flash and flash play. You know, all this, everything sort of bombards you. And it was a much slower pace of life. You know, people take their time over their thoughts, over their words, over, you know, and it's definitely a lost kind of innocence that they had, that we're bombarded with so much information now that we've sort of lost a bit of our imagination maybe, and a bit of that magic of living off the land and supporting each other.
It's very interesting this time we're going into now, where we are in the credit crunch, we are in recession, everybody is going to have to tighten their belts, and there are a lot of stories that run through this where you look at one very poor community and one very aspirational rich community, and an awful lot of the time the true happiness, the characters that have found true happiness, are actually the characters in the very poor community who found happiness within a relationship and within their family. And you watch an awful lot of people struggling to materially better themselves and not finding happiness through that.
Yeah, and it's a community, so they make connections and they depend on each other, and that is a theme that keeps coming up again and again. And I think that that's something as well that we've lost touch with, that we're interested in, because we don't really operate like that anymore. And so it isn't just about nice frocks and thatched roofs. It's more about how people interacted and depended on each other in those extraordinarily difficult times, really.
There's no old age pension, there's no child support, no one's going to come and give them any money, or there's no NHS. There's nothing. There is absolutely no support, and the support that the community has for one another. That's all they had. So I think that's why it worked very well.
Now, these people are desperately poor and struggling to feed their families, and yet they have this incredible sense of community and helping each other out, taking each other's children in on hard times, lending the occasional loaf of bread or bag of flour, But yeah, it's an overriding sort of sense of joy in everything around them. My character especially takes a lot of wonder in the natural world around him. They're creatures of the land. They live off it, and that's their source of income. If they don't have a highly skilled job, you work with your hands in the mud, get dirty for your food. Yeah.
The set of Lark is basically a very sort of small country community, a hamlet in fact, a very close-knit sense of community between the people who live there, almost like a small family. Whereas Candleford, it's much more, it's not quite so intimate, it's much more diverse, and the people who live there tend, apart from from people like Dorcas at the post office and the Pratt sisters, it seems to be a very sort of transitory sort of place where people just come and pass through. It's very much a sort of market town where people come to do business and then leave again. Whereas Lark is very much more a home.
There is a huge change in that one of our principal new characters opens a hotel in Candleford. So there's another wave of modernity, and he's a man who's kind of in a hurry to change the world. One of the big stories across the whole series is how this impacts on our little town. Can we slow down? Can we, do we have to rush into change? And it's one of the things I love about writing the series. It's about change, but actually, I have an idealistic notion, a romanticized notion about that time, which actually I rather enjoy and rather want to hold on to. So when change comes into the community, what I'm attracted to, writing about, is the resistance to change. Why do we need to change? What's the hurry? Where's it taking us?
I always trusted that you knew I'd come back, Queenie. He represents very much the rise of the 20th century in this programme, I think, and the rise of the middle class, the rise of, he represents the beginning, the birth of the leisure industry. hotels as places to stay, you know, for leisure. And that's really where he's made his money. And I think that he speaks very well. He speaks like a gentleman, he dresses like a gentleman. But he doesn't have the baggage of blue blood or, you know, of hierarchy. And as soon as he arrives, he's very keen to tell all the, especially the Pratt sisters, who are very keen on knowing where everyone's class is. He enjoys very much when they find out he's from Lark Rise. So he's not squeamish about that at all. And in a way, he's very proud of it, I think, which is a nice thing about him.
As a boy in Lark Rise, we would enjoy a dance handed down long before living memory. Drop the handkerchief. Please, help me to clear the tables.
I'm not sure we can remain here.
No, of course.
Britain is still so class-ridden, but especially then, I think it was quite a strange thing to have this guy that was in effect poor, but spoke like a gentleman, you know.
They did seem quite happy in the books. I think Flora's portrayed them in a very happy way, even though they had absolutely nothing in Lark Rise, nothing at all. You know, poverty was very, very strong then in that community. But they seem very, very happy in the books, and I hope that's something that's come across in our shows.